Hello, my name is Aviva, and today I'm going to share with you some books that I recently got. So I recently realized that I never did a holiday book haul, like all of the books that I got in the month of December. So here we are. I have 16 books to share with you. I got a lot of gift cards over the holidays. I was also gifted some books randomly. And basically, I wanted to share with you the ones that I got. So I happen to have read a couple of these already. So I'm going to make sure that my December wrap up is linked down below in case you wanted to, hear further details of what I actually thought about the books. But first up, I did get There Are No Saints and then There Is No Devil, which I already read and I chatted about a couple of times. It did make it onto my favorite reads of the year. I read it at the end of December and I absolutely loved it. This is a serial killer romance and it was super dark, super taboo, super messed up, and I absolutely loved it. And if you are down for some really weird stuff, then I definitely recommend this one. I also got Stuck Up Soup by V. Keeland, which I did talk about in my December wrap up. This is basically about this girl who sees this guy talking on his phone on a train, and he's kind of screaming at whoever he's talking about. And she's like, who the hell does he think he is, talking to someone that way, sort of vibes. And anyway, he gets off the train, but he dropped his phone. So she picks it up and then later wants to return it to him. And then he's very rude about it. And basically, somehow they're going to start talking and the story is going to go from there. So I happen to be a big fan of V. Keeland and Penelope Ward. I generally like their books, even though they're all extremely similar. You get the same vibe. It's like this really rich guy in a suit. He has a great job and, maybe he's a player before, or maybe he just had no interest in women until he met this one girl. And then, their story takes off. Usually they're very arrogant and all up on themselves sort of vibes. And this book was no different. And the reason why, unfortunately, I didn't like it is because of the backstory of the main guy. It reminded me a lot of one of the other books that I read by them. And I just really wasn't a fan of how, all of the serious stuff in this book went down. But I did recently receive it, and I wasn't supposed to go and rant about what I didn't like about it in this video because we're just here for a book haul. So if you want to hear more about this book, then I recommend checking out my December wrap up. I was also so kindly gifted Only When It's Us by Chloe Lieza. Am I saying that wrong? Probably. But anyway, one of my followers gifted this to me. Thank you so much, Kim. I very, very much appreciate it. It was the sweetest surprise in the world. I did also read this already though, and I talked about it in my December wrap up. So if you want to hear my thoughts on it, I highly recommend watching that video. But basically, this was a slow burn romance about this girl that is on the soccer team in a college, and she's not doing so well in a class, so she ends up having to get notes from somebody that's in her class, and he happens to be late deaf, so he's deaf later in life, and basically they're somehow going to have a frenemies romance. They're going to start off as not getting along, and then obviously they're going to fall for each other. So it was very cute, and if you want to hear more thoughts on it, watch that other video. Next, I'm going to talk about 3 books that I actually already read, but I never spoke about on my channel. First up is Hooked by Emily McIntyre. So this was actually the second book that I read at the beginning of January. It's basically a dark and twisted Peter Pan retelling where there's no fantasy or anything like that. It's just a regular world, but with a Peter Pan vibe. It's basically Peter is this very rich businessman, and he's not a great guy, and he has a daughter named Wendy who his is little shadow sort of vibe. They were always very close, in the media liked to call him his little shadow sort of vibe. And basically Peter used to work with Hook's parents. They were business partners, and then Peter actually murdered Hook's parents, and now Hook is out for revenge against Peter, and he's going to seduce Wendy as a means to get revenge and sort of stuff. So this was really, really interesting, so much better than I expected. I saw a ton of mixed reviews, and I seriously wasn't sure what I was getting myself into, but then I was blown away. I thoroughly enjoyed it. Peter Pan is one of my favorite childhood fairy tales, and this was such a good dark and twisted version. There were so many elements taken from Peter Pan, and it was just, I don't know, I loved it. But again, I'm not really supposed to be giving reviews in this video, so I did recently receive this, and I will try to talk about it more in my January mid-month wrap-up, which will be coming very soon. Next, I have Voyeur by Fiona Cole, which is actually the first book that I read in January, and I thoroughly enjoyed it. It's about this girl who is in college and she needs some extra money, so she gets this job at this sex club called Voyeur, where people basically come in and watch her do sexual acts through a one-way mirror. So, I don't know, they ask for something, and if she accepts it, then she'll basically do it and they can watch her, but she can't see who's watching her, sort of vibes, like whatever. Anyway, basically, this guy comes into the club and kind of really likes her, starts watching her a bunch, and then basically she goes into class one day and the guy that is her teacher is actually the guy from the sex club, and he kind of freaks out because he's already kind of like obsessed with her and she doesn't know who he is, even though he knows who she is. And anyway, they end up having a forbidden teacher-student romance. So there's a bit of an age gap and there's like complications and stuff like that, and it is basically very good. I thoroughly enjoy this book and I will try to talk about it more in my January mid-month wrap-up. I also have Playing with Fire by LJ Shen, which I recently read and it was pretty solid. It's basically about this girl who is a burn victim. She has a lot of scars all over her body and she is very self-conscious about it, and she works at this food truck and she goes to college, and basically one day this very popular guy at her college walks up to the food truck and basically asks for a job. So they're going to start to work together. They're kind of going to become friends. Obviously, it's going to turn into more than friends, and a romance is gonna happen. And basically this guy is kind of keeping a lot of secrets. He's also like an underground fighter and he's got a lot of stuff going on, and obviously she has a lot of stuff going on too. And basically when they become friends, they're kind of just going to turn into the people that they used to be before all this crap happened to them, and they're gonna fall in love. And it was a pretty solid story, but again, I don't really want to review it here. I just wanted to tell you what it's about and tell you that I recently received it, so I will talk about it more in my mid-month wrap up. So now for the books that I haven't read yet. I recently got The Emperor by Runix, which is the third book in the Dark Verse series, and I already own book 1 and 2 and I haven't even read them yet, but for some reason I got myself the third book. So all I know about this series is that I'm pretty sure it's a mafia romance. I seriously kind of know nothing about it other than the fact that it's kind of like a dark romance of sorts. It's also somewhat of a companion series, but I'm not sure how companion-y it is because I'm almost positive the first 2 books follows one romance and then we move on to another romance in book 3. But again, I could totally be wrong on that, so don't take my word for it. I also recently got Priest by Sierra Simone, which I'm not so sure what it's about other than the fact that it's supposedly extremely steamy and kind of weird. It is about this priest who is somehow going to have a sexual encounter with somebody else, even though he's a priest and supposedly he's supposed to be celibate. So I don't know how all of that's going to work out, but I am very excited to check this one out. I also got Bound by Honor by Cora Riley, which is the first book in a mafia companion series. And I'm almost positive this one is an arranged marriage, but I could be wrong about that. And I've been actually wanting to read Cora Riley for a while. I know that she has so many books out there. I've seen so many people rave about multiple of her series. So I randomly decided to start with this one. And if I like it, then I'll continue on with this series, obviously, but also like I want to start checking out some more of her work because I know that she writes a ton of like mafia romances, dark romances, things along those lines, and I am all for that. I also got Underlock by Mariana Zapata, which I'm almost positive is about this guy who owns a tattoo shop and ends up giving a job to this girl who really needed it or something like that, and then they're somehow going to have a romance. So I have actually heard a couple of stuff about this book and it's making me really excited for it. So there's obviously that forced proximity thing going on, and also, they're working at a tattoo shop, so it's got that like darker element to it. And I also heard that this is on like a little bit more of a steamier level than the rest of her books. Like one thing that I have a hard time with Mariana Zapata in general is that her books are so slow. The thing is that I won't mind a slow burn if the characters are constantly interacting. Like I read All Roads Lead Here, and for the first half of the book, the 2 main characters hardly saw each other. And I was like, okay, fine. Like it's a slow burn, but like they have to interact at some point, And then I read like Culty and they were always together. It was just a very slow burn. And that's why I liked that one more. And then I heard that this one is very much like culty in the sense of like, because it's a forced proximity and they're working together, they're going to be interacting a lot. So even though it's a slow burn, at least they'll be interacting sort of vibe. So I am very excited to check this one out. I have heard mixed things, but I think that because of everything I just said, I will very much like this one. I also received a copy of The Ravens and the Monarchs by Cass Morgan and Daniel Page because I'm actually doing a giveaway for this on my Instagram with the Story Gram Tours on January 17th. So if you're not following me on Instagram, then make sure to check the link down below so that, you can follow me and then, you'll see when I post the giveaway for this. But basically, this is a book about this girl who goes to college and then signs up for a sorority, gets accepted, and finds out that the sorority is actually a coven full of witches. And she wasn't aware that she was a witch, but she couldn't have gotten accepted unless she was a witch. So then, she's obviously a witch and the story is going to go from there. So I don't really know much more about it other than that, but it sounds really good. I love sorority, college sort of vibes, and these books seem really, really good. So if you want to win a copy, then make sure to follow me on Instagram and check on January 17th as to how you can enter my giveaway. I was also sent an arc of A Brush with Love by Maisie Eddings, which is coming out on March 1st. So I'm very excited to check this book out. It's basically about these two people who are dentists. I think one's an oral surgeon and one's just like a regular dentist. And for some reason, they're going to become friends and they're obviously going to be attracted to each other, but they're going to try to just stay friends and it's obviously not going to work out. So I'm very excited to check it out. It sounds like an adorable rom-com. And if you wanted to check it out, then again, it's going to be coming out on March 1st. I was also gifted A Pathological Liar by Mima Rosenfeld by the author herself. And it's basically about this girl who recently moved to New York City and meets this really handsome, really good looking guy right when she gets there. And they're somewhat going to start a romance. And basically she went through a traumatic experience right before she got to New York City. And also he's keeping some secrets from her. So basically they're both keeping stuff from each other and they're going to try to have a romance, but is it going to blow up in their face? I don't know. So it sounds really good and I'm excited to check it out. And again, thank you so much, Mima Rosenfeld, for sending me a copy of your book. And the last book I'm going to share with you is Winning Mr. Wrong by C.W. Farnsworth, which is about this girl who somehow lands up on this like bachelorette sort of show. And one of the guys that comes on the show is this quarterback that she somehow insulted on national television a while ago. So they're obviously not going to get along, but somehow a romance is going to bloom. So it sounds really good. It sounds like it has a lot of elements of stuff that I like. Like it's got that bachelorette vibe, and then it has like an enemies to lovers sort of thing going on. And it has like a splash of sports romance because the guy's a quarterback, and I don't know, it just sounds really good and I recommend you checking it out. But anyway, that is all of the books that I have to share with you. It's funny because I'm actually considering buying a couple of books at the moment, so hopefully I will have another book haul to share with you very soon. But until then, let me know what books you recently got. Did you get any books for the holidays? Maybe you don't really get books, you just go to the library. Who the hell knows? But anyway, leave me a comment down below, and if you enjoyed watching this video, then please give it a thumbs up. If you're not currently subscribed to my channel, please hit that subscribe button. And anyway, thank you so much for watching, and until next time, enjoy reading.